smart, even though you look out and see how awful it is when you're sometimes watching practice, but it's still the right thing to do. So I'll answer any questions for you.
Open up on the right here with Austin. Urban, that 2000 rep club, can you give us an idea of who all might be in there and what
yeah, sure. Taylor Decker's played 20, I have it sitting right on my desk, you know, it's over 2,000 reps, and then there's a lot of guys that played. And the way I look at reps is, in practice, for example, how many competitive reps do you get? You'll get, you know, it's 12 at the end, 6 and 6, and an inside rep you get about 10. So competitive reps in practice, you're talking about 40. So you're talking about a kid that has over 1,200, you know, 1,500, sometimes 2,000 competitive reps, and the wear and tear, which you know, which I love it. I think we're on the cutting edge of just being smart about the wear and tear that the student athlete goes through. So we're being smart, and on offense you have Taylor Decker, you have Pat Alpine, you have Nick Vanette, believe it or not, it's close. He's real close. On defense, you have Josh Perry, you have Titus Powell. Surprised me, I didn't know how many reps he had. Joey Bosa's played a lot of reps. So that's an example.
When you have these guys sitting out, then obviously you're taking care of them. The benefit then getting extra reps for these young guys.
Absolutely.
Not just for this year, but maybe for 2016.
Yeah, here's the thing, and we just had this conversation. So the issue is, here's the issues, and this is we have to really think this through. You're losing a little bit of chemistry, in the unit, because of the offensive line. You hear stories about the cohesive offensive line. When you hear that story, that's absolutely correct, which I think we're a great example of the last 3 years, extremely close group that has a little chemistry going. You lose that completely because you're sticking some guys in there that aren't quite ready yet. And same thing with the defensive line. Those are the two areas that you just lose that. So that's why sometimes it looks really bad. And today was not a pleasant one. And it's not, you know, we're not going to blame players or coaches yet. That's coming up if we don't get better.
Second row, David.
Irvin, a little bit of a bigger picture question, but first Borland walking away from the game last week, Armani's had some concussions and had to step away. The care and what everyone knows and awareness of concussions has obviously helped so much and improved, but do you almost feel like football is becoming increasingly under attack? You have to kind of increasingly defend the game for some people. Where's this all going?
That's a good question. I remember I sat and visited with the commissioner of the NFL. He's a very good friend of mine, and the fact is that there's been, you know, we lost some football players. You know, my son, I'm on a personal level because my son's a freshman in high school, and I always go listen to the coaching and watch the coaching and make sure. I think a lot of that is about, you know, obviously it's a tough sport, but also as long as you're being taught well, which I'm very pleased to say that he's been taught well from 7th grade on. And I listen and I mean, you're right. Of course, I care about other stuff too, but as a parent, all I want to do is make sure he's being well taught. So I think, you know, anytime you play any sport, my daughter had a concussion in volleyball one time when they dove for a ball, and so you just, I think the awareness, the amount of time being spent and resources being spent to do the research and everything, I'm proud to say at Ohio State, I can't imagine the school doing more than what we do as far as prepping guys, and our track record's pretty good with that.
Back row left, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, just a kind of a procedural question. You may not decide this till the fall, but Coach Warner was always down on the field working directly with his offensive lineman between series. Do you have an idea whether he'll be up or?
Yeah, I'm going to keep him down. I thought he's too good. You know, he's the, you pull that one out now, you got a problem. So no, it's and the good thing is the way we call plays around here. It's not a dictator. You know, I call a good chunk of them, and Tim Beck's going to have to assume a lot of that responsibility, and Ed Warner's going to, you know, be the big. You know, I'm the game manager. I'll call a bunch of the plays, and then Tim Beck's going to assume some of that responsibility that Tom had last year. But that's I went through that thought process, but he's, you know, his value to pull him away from that group, and you know, I don't know if you notice that the whole offense goes to him before they take the field in the last 3 years, and that's we can't change that right now.
Second row left, Bill.
Yeah, Urban, kind of just in general, and I don't know if you've done this in your career before, but when a college coach hires a high school coach, what can that do in terms of recruiting, establishing relationships in that area where that coach comes from?
Depends on the high school coach. You know, it's again, it's well respected. And I hired Kerry Combs, who is extremely respected in the Southwest, really the state of Ohio. And he had, first of all, he's a very good coach. Second of all, that was part of it. He's a great recruiter who's well respected in the state of Ohio. So depends on the quality of coach, and certainly can have an impact.
Front row, Bill.
Yeah, Rick Millen, I'm assuming we'll step into that in a while. What do you see from him so far, and how does he develop?
Well, today wasn't necessarily his best day. What I've seen is a young man that since he got here, he's A1A, he's first class, he takes care of his business off the field. He's a guy that gels well, has natural leadership skills. He's what you go look for in recruiting. He's got some big shoes to fill. The guy that left here, Curtis Grant, maybe didn't have a stellar career. He had a stellar senior year though. And so he's got some big, but his leadership, that's what, you know, Curtis Grant, I was talking to him yesterday about. He wants to be a coach, be a great coach, you know, someday. And that's what he's stepping into. He's replacing a middle linebacker that was actually coach on the field for us last year.
Did you, I can't remember, go through some of the injuries, the more major injuries that you guys were out this week?
Zeke has a bone graft, and they're being very cautious. Obviously, Braxton, they've pulled back on him a little bit because they just don't want anyone to fall. Everything's fine. The fall would be bad. Jacoby's had several things. I can't remember what he had done. But I don't see any Band-Aids on him anymore, so he's getting close. Dante has a broken foot, pins out. I saw him running in the water the other day. They'll fly. No, he's good. We're just cautious.
And JT is cautious.
JT's doing good. He's doing more than I thought. He would be much more limited, but he's getting every mini field and every 7-on-7 rep.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, following up on what you were saying, are you concerned at all, though, a little bit about the future of football, the way some of this stuff is coming at you guys from the standpoint of the board? I mean, what can you, like you were talking about your son's getting help, but what would you say that promotes the game? Like what do you see that's being done right?
Well, I think it's an interesting dilemma right now. I would imagine college football is right now as strong as it's ever been as far as a viewership, as far as, you know, television, as far as, you know, we played in the ultimate game. I can't imagine a better atmosphere. You know, we were fortunate enough in 06 to be in it. And I'm not saying, 2014 was better, but there certainly was no drop off on as far as that's a darn Super Bowl, man, as far as the build up and all that. So I think you have two different dilemmas there. One, there is that issue that the good thing is, I don't see anyone putting their, and you guys do, I don't know if you do more research than I do, but I don't see anyone, you know, just hoping it goes away. It's not going to go away. And the game's safer now. Since I can give you 28 years of experience, the game is safer now than it's ever been. As far as, you know, in our world.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing, have the limitations y'all gone through in practice, you know, for limiting contact and stuff, does that hurt the product in your opinion? I mean, you're talking about how popular it is, but how have you gotten around that?
We had the fewest missed tackles in college football last year, and we work on it as much as anyone. And that was a sign we've taken our whole approach to how we tackle that was first brought on about safety issues. Our second was because it's functional tackling, and it's a low tackle now. And I think it's good. I don't think it's good. You ask Coach Bash and Coach Fickle who teach it now. And Coach Fickle, we had him present to the staff the other day, and he said everything he's ever been taught in tackling, they don't teach anymore. And it's all about, you know, it's a low game now. And obviously that's, you know, I don't know the studies, but I think we're having fewer issues.
Back row left, Matt.
I don't know if this is related, but you mentioned not a great day. This coming off of spring break. Any correlation to that, or was it just, you know, as you said?
I'm sure there is. I don't like excuses, but I'm sure there's, you know, it was a bad tag. You know, just like we do call it the difference hand placement, where we were incredible last year. It's awful today. I go to tackling, and I just watched it. I was like, oh my, is that the same team that had the fewest missed tackles in college football? So there's reasons, and we can come up with no excuses. The bottom line is today's Tuesday, on Thursday better be better. And the guys who make it better than 9 assistant coaches better get the groups going.
Slightly off topic, but the wrestling team, I know you
Awesome.
were involved with them. Just your reaction to what they.
Well, Tom Ryan and I are very close. He was at our national championship game. Our relationship is over the top. I just never really followed wrestling. Didn't wrestle myself. Always had great respect for the sport, the toughness, and all that. Now that I watch it, wow, Steve, what he did. I mean, my goodness, I'm just a huge over the top fan right now of what our guys did. And I know the process he's gone through, the work that he's put into this thing. I was in here in a week when he was in my office. Tom Ryan was, and we were talking about how we could work together and all that kind of stuff. And I love his program.
The last two questions. Todd?
Or is there a fine line, talk about complacency the other day, like from a fine line of grinding guys down to March with complacency after one bad day? I mean, is that just kind of tell us about that line you sort of walk and march?
Well, I mean, that's all philosophy too. It's I know we're firm believers in the way you learn, and the discomfort's good. And there's a little discomfort right now. That was not a good day. Complacency is comfort. I equate that. They equate it too. When you sit in a meeting, you sit back in your chair, you're not really learning. You're sitting on the edge of the chair because you might get called on, and if you don't answer right, it could be a bad one. That triggers things in your body to start learning. So discomfort is it's a learning opportunity, because our coaches know that. So when there's going to be discomfort right now, because that wasn't what we're supposed to be. So there's a couple of options you have. The option here is just discomfort. We got to do better for Thursday. There'll be a lot of pressure for Thursday's practice.
Going back to a question that Phil asked you, when Michigan comes in and hires an Ohio high school coach, that's something that you take notice of.
Sure.
And does that sort of throw down, the gauntlet, so to speak, that's back on you?
That gauntlet's been thrown down back in the 1800s. They hired a quality guy, a really good football coach. I don't blame him. I mean, it's, but did you say we monitor it?
Yeah.
Monitor everything.
Take
Yeah.
notice of that.
Sure.
And last question. Doug?
Urban, you're talking a lot about how last year, the few amount of missed tackles you had. Just with, it was Chris Ash's first year being here. With how far the defense came, how much farther do you think it can come this year? Where can?
Well, we didn't start. We had some bumps, and we were far too many big plays last year. Overall, that was an impact hire. Chris Ash obviously is an impact hire. More than anything, the chemistry in that staff was really, really good. So was Larry Johnson. By the end of the season, that was as fine a football, defensive football, as we've seen here. And when you start talking about Ohio State, there's a decade of brilliance in defense here. It kind of disappeared for a couple of years. And the last 3 games, that was Ohio State football. I can't imagine better defense. And so you have to evaluate why. First of all, it's players. Second of all, the coaches. They did a magnificent job. They look like it today. So we have to get back to that. But that was an impact hire.
And how much do you use numbers and sort of the analytics at all of football? And you're talking about the 2000, the reps and that kind of thing. How much more do you look at? Do you crunch numbers for any part of the data analysis of the game?
More than ever before.
Okay.
It's taken, that's where Coach Marati, and he actually works in the United States military, as far as we put kids wearing GPSs now, about how many reps, how many miles that they're running in a day, hydration, the kids not allowed to go practice unless they're hydrated. We check that every day. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years, we never heard of this stuff. In the Philadelphia, we learned a lot. I went and spent 2 days with them, and they're off the charts with that as well. And the results were good here. We had very few soft tissue injuries are a result of something. God didn't make your body to pull hamstrings, so something happened in the weight training, in the hydration, and the too many reps, and those are all watched like never before. And you look at, we had injuries last year, but not the first group on both sides. And so you look at Ohio State football, the same starting line for 3 years now, has finished the season. And same on defense. Now we had some, backups had some injuries, but that's a key. You take a starter out, now you're not as good. So we spend, to answer your question, like never before. It's amazing. If I showed you some of the data, which might be a good story someday to see and meet with Coach Mick, there might be something to do someday. Because it's like never before, including 2 years ago.
Is that hydration?
Did you have a question?
Thanks. I'm from Washington, so forgive the quarterback question, but
The state or the city?
the city.
Okay.
So is
I
there
have to make sure we're all right. Not that I have any.
It's pretty widely agreed that nobody's ever had, in the history of the game, had a quarterback scenario like yours. And you've never seen one to shy away from frontiers. I wonder if there's a part as a coach that you like about getting to face that, other than that they're all really talented.
No, it's all positive. And I watch them work together. And Tom Herman, I mean, and Tim's doing a good job. If you watch the three of them, they're always talking. They're always like in practice. I just happened to turn around and Braxton and JT were talking about football, and I saw Braxton walk up and hit Cardell, nice job, and I just see that. That's not common. It's not common. The only negative, everything's positive. Talent, quality of people, value to the program, investment in the program, check. Negative, 2 complete we're gonna have to one. It's not like receiver, the 3 of them out there. So that's the only thing that's starting to get away with me a little bit. Did it for a while because you're just so busy, but now when I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I have such great respect for all 3 guys. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, folks. That's it for today.